In this module, we will discuss calculations. They can be one of the most powerful tools that Tableau offers because of their ability to create data from existing data. They can help format the view, they can pass parameters, validate data, or even calculate dynamically across dimensions as the user interacts with items in the view. There are three main types of calculations that you can use to create calculated fields in Tableau: basic expressions, level of detail expressions, or LODs, or table calculations. In this module, we will go through basic expressions. Basic expressions allow you to transform values or members at the data source level of detail, a row level calculation, or the visualization level of detail, an aggregate calculation. Let's look at row level calculations. Say if we're looking at our population data that we've been working with, and we would like to see the county name. So if we put county on the row shelf, we can currently see it says Anderson County, Bedford County. Instead, we'd like to just see Anderson, Bedford, Benton. Let's go ahead and create a row level calculation that would give us that data. So if you right-click anywhere in the data pane, or select the little down arrow beside dimensions, you can select Create Calculated Field. Let's call this County Name. So you can see I just typed the name in. This little field up here is the name. This is where you would enter your calculation. And this little screen here is the Tableau formatting, or the Tableau Formula Box. So you can actually search for all string calculations. You can see that there are quite a few. The text in the formulas pretty much mirror Excel or SQL. But if you go into this and you see this screen instead, to get that little menu item to come up, you just hit this little arrow right here to the side, and to get it to go back, you hit it again. So to create our calculation, what we want is the left number of letters for the county minus the word county. I know that sounds a little confusing, but let's go through and see how you would create that. So I want is the left county. As you start typing, you can see it starts to fill in for you, and you can just hit Tab to get it to fill that selection in. And it starts to tell you the formula that you can use. So that's my string is county, and the number of characters I want is really dynamic. So what I want is the length of the entire field. So length of county minus the word county and the one extra space. So that is 7, because that stays the same. And so I see here that my calculation's valid. Now I can either hit apply if I wanted to create the calculation and leave this open, or just hit OK. Because I want to make sure that the calculation's correct, I just hit apply, and I can drag county name out beside county and see it actually is now county name. And that's exactly what it's pulling, is the correct field. So I can hit OK. And if I wanted to, I can actually give this that geographic location if I wanted to put that on the map. So if I right click and go to geographic role, I can select county or create from county. So now I should be able to just double click county name, and that's all my counties. And now when I hover over the county, I see just that name, county. So let's look at aggregate calculations. Aggregate calculations are nice because they're generated at the level of detail that your visualization is shown. So let's create one that just shows what the population is for the year 2017. So actually, before that, let's create one that just counts the number of counties that we have. So right-click again and say Create Calculated Field. Now, if you do create Calculated Field and you click a dimension, because sometimes your dimension list is very long, and you might have a hard time finding a clean space. So if you right click anywhere, and that's where you create calculated field, the name of the field that you right clicked on will show up in the calculation. It's usually a good idea if I were to have clicked on county, because that's going to be included. But if I don't want that field, I can just delete it. So I'm going to call this count of counties. And so what I want to do is count, open parentheses, in the expression. So I want county. And what that's going to give me is count every row with counties. And let's see how that looks. So I'm going to hit apply, and you see that puts it in the measure pane. So if I pull it to text, I don't get 95. That's because what it's doing is it's giving us the deepest level of aggregation, which would be the county, and then it gives us each year. So there are 8 years and 95 counties, and if you multiplied those, you'd find 760. But if I just really wanted a count of the counties at any level and not to have to worry about it, I could do a count distinct. A count is like a row level count, and a count distinct is counting each individual record. So that gives us a count distinct of the counties, 95. And that way, if I put year back on the columns and counties back here, I'll just still have 1. If I take a year off, I'll still have 1 at each level. Say if I wanted to get the population of the year 2017, I think that was one of my year selections. So I'll take this off the measure shelf. And now you see actually that because you don't have a measure, you have this ABC text everywhere you go, because what Tableau does is really try to show you a dimension and a measure. And there are ways to get around this, but that's why you're seeing that value. If you didn't want to see that, you could just put year on the text, but that really duplicates everything that you're doing. So let's create our calculation. I'm going to go again and create a calculated field, and I'm going to call this 2017 population. And this is going to be a logical calculation. So I'm going to say if the year equals 2017, and I can't actually do that. Well, let's go ahead and finish it up, and then I'll tell you why. Then population. And when you have a logical calculation, you have to end it with the word end, but it doesn't want to give us this, which is what you would usually do if year is an integer. But we see that year is being pulled in as a string when I went back over here. And now when I surround that with double quotes, my calculation's valid. So hit apply and pull 2017 population to the text, and we'll see that that is the population for 2017. It's always a really good idea when you create a calculation to validate that the calculation is pulling what you'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this sheet, because if you duplicate it, you don't have to worry about breaking anything. Later, that's a good thing to think about, because you'll be playing in more complex dashboards. So pull population, click it, and just drag it on top of 2017 population. Actually, before you do that, let's go to Analysis Totals, Show Grand Column Totals, and let's go back and say that I want those on the top, so you don't have to scroll down. And what we'll do is we'll compare the total to the total. So now drag population to the top. And you see that total did not change. None of the values changed. So our calculation is correct. So go ahead and hit OK. And that's how you create some simple calculations. If you wanted to calculate from a sets we created in an earlier exercise, say we wanted to create the regions again, we can double-click County and create our regions. So I clicked and I'm just going to say create set. This is West. This is Middle. And this is East. Now, if you have missed a county or anything in your calculations or in your sets, creating them like that, you can actually change a set by clicking an item, right-clicking, or let's see, sometimes it can get kind of difficult. So if sometimes if you hover, you see that little box, that's what I'm trying to get, there. So with these items, now I can actually click this little down arrow, and I can say that I wanted to add these or remove these from a specific set. So say if I didn't have these in the central or the middle and the east, then I can put those in correctly there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to create just click map so you can get that filled map again. And so now I'm going to right click and create a field. And I'm going to call this region. And this will be another logical calculation. So I'm going to say if east, then east. Else if middle, and you can see that it's calling the set because you've got the little VIN option down there beside the word. Then middle. Else if west. So in Excel, you'll actually see that you use commas. In Tableau, you'll actually use the words if then. In Excel, you would say if open parentheses east equals east, comma, east. But here you have to type out, and you also have to say, instead of else, if it's an else if, you're just continually adding this if statement, then you have to say else if with one word. And I know that, let's say, in case we've missed anything, so now I hit apply, and that created that region. Let's pull the region out onto the color shelf. And I didn't miss anything. That's great. Now I've got my colors by region. Say I had missed something. So if I took region off the color shelf and I right-clicked the county or did that little thing again and removed those from east. So now if I pulled region over, I would see that I have this big bright look field. To really make that pop, you can actually right-click and edit your colors and pick some colors that are pretty neutral for your east, middle, and west. Say that I want them the Tennessee colors. So if I have red, blue, and the middle can be a light blue, and the west can be a red. And then I want look to be something garish, so I won't forget it. So I can make it green or bright green or something and hit apply. Now I see that really does pop out. So that is how you can start to create some calculations. There are a ton of other things that you can do, and we'll be going through those shortly, but those are basic calculations. In our next module, we'll cover table calculations. Thank you.